Oh, hi, friends. Welcome to Life of Brian. My name is Brian, and this is my life. Thanks for stopping by today. Today, I want to do something a little bit different. I mean, obviously, we're going to circle it back around to Kiss, but as you can see by the title, it's a little bit out of the norm for me. But anyway, we'll get to that in a second. I wanted to start off by saying that I spent last week, today is Tuesday, April 28th. And all of last week from Saturday the 18th until this past Sunday, the whatever that was, 26th, my daughter and I left here in Texas and we took the road trip up to Ohio to visit my dad and family up there. And, we didn't drive straight through. We left Saturday morning and stayed in the hotel Saturday night and drove the rest of the way Sunday. Did that on the way up and the way back. So I was I wanted to be in the moment. I didn't post on Instagram. I didn't do any videos. Took very few pictures too, unfortunately. But I really just wanted to enjoy the time of being with family and even with my daughter, who I get to see fairly often. Once every couple months. She lives a few hours from me, but being with her for that long for a week and seeing my dad for a week, that was really awesome, and I'm glad that I took that time. Um, Saying all of that to say, I got to see some really cool things. I haven't done that drive. My dad lived in Arizona for about 30 years, and I did that drive from Texas to Arizona uh, quite a few times. Going from Texas to Ohio, this is my first time, and it was pretty awesome. And went to some cool stores, not really along the way, but once we were in Ohio and with the family, um, did some thrift store stuff, antique store stuff. Um, was able to find well, it's not the only, but the main vinyl that I purchased. So, those of you that know the band The Melvins, they did some artwork to pay homage or homage, however you say it, pay homage to the Kiss solo albums. Now, what's funny is there are only three of them in the band The Melvins, but I was able to find these. It's something that I just learned about within the last year, and never seen them in a record store. eBay is always out the wazoo. Well, they happen to have all three of them. See if I can do this right. And they had that one, this one, and then last but not least, and if you can tell, the coloring. Let me do this better. I still have the shrink. I haven't even opened them yet. This one got the blue highlight like Ace. The first one I showed, this King Buzzo, he's got the Gene vibe going there. And what's cool about this record, after I did some investigation on it, is the drummer on this is Dave Grohl. And I keep saying records; these are technically EPs. There's only 4 songs on each one. Um, and the other, I showed the blue and the red. The other one is green like Peter, and almost even has the same, you know, head tilt that Peter does on his. But anyway, I thought that was cool because you can even see in the band logo and the way they have their name, and even down to the back side of the vinyl where it has the color of the text. Yeah, I thought these were cool, and they were a good price. They had them. What does this say? 1975, which is a weird price, but all three of them were that price, so I had to get those. And the other things that I got were actually from Goodwill, and I got some 3 VHS tapes. They had a deal. It was like 6 for $5. So my daughter picked out 3 and I picked out 3. That as the records fall. Cobra, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and Clockwork Orange. I couldn't really pass those up, especially for the price. So yeah, it was a good trip going to Ohio. Had a week off of work, got to road trip with my daughter, which is fun, and got to be with my dad, who I get to see these days is about once a year when either me and my daughter go up there to see him. So it was a good trip. And anyway, wanted to get this video out. The whole crux of this is something that I've been wanting to do this video for almost 2 months, since around the beginning of March. I've wanted to do this video, and it's mainly because of I mean, I think it goes without saying how much I love Kiss. I love Dynasty, which, by the way, hey man, nice Kiss shirt. Got the boots on. I don't remember where I got this from. Was this off of the Kiss Online site, or is this the Click Tea Shop? I can't even remember. I've had it so long, but anyway, I love the Dynasty Unmasked and all of that stuff. That was my basically my upbringing in Kiss when I was a kid, was Dynasty. That was my introduction to Kiss, and it grew from there. So most times when there's a discussion or somebody's talking about Dynasty, whether they like it or not, most people, if they're kind of on the fence about it, they will refer to it as the disco album. Which it is what it is. That was the product of 1979. They were doing what they felt they needed to do to, to change with the times. Whatever. I'm good with it. I know some people aren't, but with the disco comes the glam, as we saw in the stage outfits, and as well as the music. Um, I think for me, in my head, when I think of the disco albums, I think obviously I gravitate towards Dynasty, but I kind of get these color images in my head, and I always gravitate to red and green when it comes to Dynasty, and I don't know why. It's not really a Christmas thing for me, but those two colors always seem to stand out when I think of Dynasty. Um, but now that I get older and I'm getting a little bit more nostalgic in pretty much everything, I'm really digging the like the pink and blue, like big 80s vibe. I was born in 74, so I'm basically an 80s kid. And pink and blue are huge, especially the fluorescent, colors of them. Well, my daughter is a huge, huge, raging Harry Styles fan. Has been since he was in the boy band One Direction. It's carried over to his solo career. He released his first solo album in 2017, and I think he just released his fourth back in, I think, March, or yeah, end of February, beginning of March. And you know, she's the fan. I just play along. He's got some good songs. I do have some of his songs in my Apple Music library. I don't own any of his vinyl, which is not because I don't want it. I just really haven't pulled the trigger on any of them. But his new album sparked me mainly from the name. And then when the merch for it dropped, that's when I about, blew a gasket. So the name of his album is Kiss All the Time, Disco Occasionally. Well, I have no idea. That'd be a question for a younger kid. I don't know where that came from, what it means. He released a merch, um, a brochure type thing, flyer online with all these dates and sites for these pop-up merch stores, kind of like Kiss did for the final two shows up in New York. Well, he had them, I don't know, probably 6 or 8 or 10 all around up the U.S., even some in other countries. Well, the only one in Texas was that down close, I think, in Houston somewhere, about 30, 45 minutes from my daughter, thankfully, because she'd have had a fit if she wasn't able to go to one of these. Well, when I saw the form, the flyer showing the merch available, excuse me, the way he marketed this album was really, really stuck out to me because of a couple things. The first thing I noticed was he had a plastic cup, like mug, that's the light blue color that had two words on it, which that caught my eye. That's what I wanted. But when my daughter ended up going, they didn't have any more. The only other thing that I was interested in, because I wanted something with these words on it, was a tote bag, which she ended up getting. And remember, I said the name of the album was Kiss All the Time, Disco Occasionally. This is the way they marketed it. Yeah, I saw Kiss Disco and I about crap my pants. And it's this light really isn't doing it justice, but this is a light pink shade where it says Kiss and a light blue for disco. So that Harry Styles merch to me is now Kiss merch, sort of. That's how I married the two. That's how I justified it in my head. And the mug would have been really cool. I still might try to see if somebody's put them up on eBay. It's just regular, you know, mug size plastic mug in that blue color. I thought it would have been a little bit more feasible for me than a tote bag, but be that as it may, I had to have something that said Kiss and Disco on it because come on, as a Dynasty lover, uh, I really couldn't pass it up, and the fact that my daughter got it, obviously because her favorite artist, she kind of dug it too that I was into it, and I told her why. I told her why I wanted it, and she was cool with it, obviously. So anyway, that's my Harry Styles and Kiss mesh, if you will. I uh I don't remember now if it was my last video or the one before where I kind of left with a question on, the posters, solo album posters and, you know, that whole hypothetical thing. And I said I had another topic that I wanted to bring up and something that I thought about, and I don't even know what made me think of it, was Mark St. John. He had a very short run in the band as lead guitarist for Kiss, and he did Animalize, which I remember getting. I don't know if it was an immediate purchase for me when it was released because I was only 10 when it came out, but I had to look it up on cassette, and I know I had at some point I had gotten Animalize, so it was pretty close to I think the release of it. Don't know that I saw any music videos from that album, but I remember listening to it, and my thought on and what I want to pose, question I want to pose to all of you is if Mark St. John hadn't had the health issues that he had that kind of led to him stepping back and, ultimately leaving the band. If you took those out of the equation, if he was 100% healthy, would his tenure have been longer? And I only asked that because, uh, it was public knowledge that, I think they liked him as a person, but I know there was issues with him, not being able to play the same solo twice. Paul would have to fix things and he had drug issues, blah, blah, blah. And I really think with this being so close to Ace's leaving the band, Ace left in 81, 82. This was 84. And they had just come off the heels of Vinny and his short run in the band. And now they have somebody else that has potential drug issues and can't play solos the same way twice. I really think they were getting a zero tolerance for bullshit. And I think the health issues were heightened in effect of it made them not have to make the bad decision of firing him. That's my opinion, you know. Sorry, my nose itches. I'm just curious what y'all think. If he didn't have the health issues that he had, would he would he have stayed in the band longer? I mean, obviously he probably would have. Who knows how long? I don't know that they would have put up with it for too long, but it's weird to think that if he had, does that mean that he would have been on Asylum and not Bruce? And that's weird because, I think of Asylum and obviously, Eric's drumming aside, I think of those solos in those songs, and those are obviously it's Bruce written all over them. And I don't know. Now I'm just kind of talking out loud to myself, but I'm curious to see what y'all think about it. Would Mark have had a longer tenure with the band if he was 100% healthy? I say healthy, leave the drug issues and leave the guitar playing the way it was, just his health, the things that started debilitating him that kept him. And I don't know if those played an issue into why he couldn't play the same solo twice. I don't know if it was a mental thing or if just an actual physical playing thing. I don't know. Again, this is just a something to spark a conversation. Um, I do know that Gene and Paul were probably at their wits' end with lead guitarists that not conforming. So he may have lasted longer. Who knows how much longer? So anyway, thanks for coming by tonight. Um, just kind of wanted to, excuse me, let everybody know what was going on. Um, I thought about doing a video from Ohio. I really thought about doing this video when I was with my daughter, just because of the whole, she's the Harry Styles fan. She's the reason I have that tote bag. But I don't know. I just didn't really want to have to worry about it. It was so nice to be unplugged for a week, 8, 9 days. That was really cool. So do this one. I'll probably do another video here in the next few days, probably by the weekend tonight. This is Tuesday night. I might do another one this weekend because I do know that I've got a couple other things that I didn't show on the video tonight that I can show, as well as a couple things on the way. So yeah, let me know what you think about the whole Mark St. John thing. Let me know your thoughts on that. What do you think of me making a Harry Styles merch into Kiss merch? Don't know what I'm going to do with it. So I'm not going to do anything with it on the wall, obviously, but I might. Who knows? I don't know. We'll figure that out when we get there. But I'd really like to have a conversation with you guys. Appreciate all of you. Appreciate the likes, the comments. I love hearing your thoughts, not just on my videos, but on the topics that we discuss. You know, what's going on in your life, and your collecting, and in your just in your world in general. I love to hear all of it. I may not respond back right away, but I will respond out to every bit of it. And thank you. Thank you for taking time out of your day to watch these. You can like the video, you can even subscribe if you want to, but really what I get the most enjoyment out of is the comments and just the interaction with everybody. And just the fact that not only do you take the time out of your day to watch these videos, but then to comment and just really converse with me the way you do. It means more to me than I could really even convey here. I appreciate all of you. I love all of you. I love this community. This is the best community. I've been in different communities over the years for one thing or another, but this KISS community, it's funny, the bigger that I realize that it is, just the more I love it, and the just how awesome everybody is. And I don't take it for granted. I'll never take advantage of it. This is this is one of the safest circles that I've ever been in, and I just want to open that up to everybody. That all are welcome. To quote Poltergeist. Anyway, I've rambled enough. Thank you again. Appreciate all of you. Like, subscribe if you want, comment, please. And until the next one, I'll see you the next time. Thank you for coming by. Happy hunting, y'all. And remember to have fun.